welcome to episode 33. That's right, good old Larry Legend of Scar Bearers. I'm chrisdtgordon. It is fantastic to have you here with me today. My friends Nate Barron and Britton Barron making me look and sound so much better than I actually do. If you want to reach out to them for their theme music and post-production, maybe they can fix that up, needs, you can reach them at Nate Barron. Well, today I talk with my friend Jim Fong, as I say, a brother from another doctor. He's a fellow necrotizing fasciitis survivor who's not only used his experience to better himself on the outside with taking up a long distance activity like I have, or like our friend Mark Black has, but he's also used the experience to improve his inside. And he'll talk about that with me. All right, today's sponsor is this halo light I have above my camera here. I want to try something here. Usually I have this warm light setting. I want to see what it looks like when I do the regular white light. Let me know in the chat if I look deathly ill with this regular light, or should I keep it going? Because frankly, I kind of look like powder. If you don't know what powder is, just, I don't know, it's not really that good of a movie, so save yourself 2 hours. It's a kid whose mom gets struck by lightning when she's pregnant with him, and he has powers. So there you go. You're welcome. All right. So we are going to talk with Jim Fong right about now. Hey, welcome back. I'm so excited to talk with one of my brothers from another doctor. He's a fellow NF survivor. Jim, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Chris, and it's so good to see you finally in at least a moving video form, because we've done a lot of digital communications, and this is still digital, but at least I get to hear your voice and interact with you in real time.
Yes, exactly. In real time, exactly. Yes. For those who don't know, Jim and I are both survivors of necrotizing fasciitis, and we belong to a Facebook group of said survivors. And we share our stories online, and Jim has some fantastic tales to tell. And so I'm really excited to get into it. But Jim, I'm going to just let you start and tell us how you became part of this brethren.
Well, it's obviously it was not planned, and actually this year is basically my 10 year, or I'm into my 11-year anniversary of my kind of rebirth day kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And excuse me. And so what actually happened here is about 10 or 11 years ago, I was leaving a job. I was president of a company. I had merged them together into being 3 companies. I left my job earlier at Penn State. I'd run a online marketing kind of group there at Penn State. And so I went back into the corporate world just to get away from a lot of the bureaucracy. And then after I left this other job and merged these companies together, I decided I'm going to do things on my own. The problem was that I was really it was all about me and business success, and my ego kind of got in the way. And it was ingrained at me at a very kind of young, at a young age there. And it has to do with probably some of the Asian culture. It was like, work hard, be as best you can, be an engineer, be a computer person, and whatever. And so that was hammered in front of me. And I had very hardworking parents. So I kind of felt like I needed to do more. I was always about constantly doing more, especially in the business side of things. So I kind of embarked down this consulting path and was doing tons of work and whatever, and kind of putting my family and being a good father as being second and third. It was just about me. And I think this whole neck fash thing happened, and it gave me a wake-up call, and got my priorities kind of in check. Because while I was consulting, I was down at the University of Alabama consulting, not feeling well, not taking care of myself, burning the candle at both ends. I always took pride in the fact that I can work harder than anybody else, and that's why I'll be successful. I will work 10 hours, this person will work 8 hours, and I will come up ahead. And that's the way I'm going to do it. And so I was doing that. And so I'm down on this consulting trip and I'm getting very sick, and I'm getting sicker as we go. I'm not eating well. I'm not sleeping well. I've got a lot of stress. And it was just a perfect storm. And I became very ill as a result. And trying to get back from Tuscaloosa to Birmingham to State College, Pennsylvania, I got neck fasc, and it wasn't really planned. It was obviously kind of a surprise.
It always is.
Yeah, it always is. And so, I was, and it's kind of funny here because my kids, I have two adult daughters and a son that's 15. And one of my daughters always says it's is it pre-neck fasc Jim or post-neck fasc Jim? Because I was two totally different people. So when I got neck fasc, I was just probably too consumed with the business, with being successful in business. And so I was all about, working hard and becoming successful and being better than the next person. And, I ran a company, I ran a major unit at Penn State, and I was going to be the most successful person I could be. And as a result, I'm on a consulting trip down in Tuscaloosa at the University of Alabama, and I'm starting to not feel well. And I guess I had not been sleeping, I had not been eating well, I had not been drinking well, I just had not been taking care of myself. That when I got down there, I was starting to get a fever, and then I had a little cut on my leg, and probably slept like 2 or 3 hours, and had a lot of stress. And then I woke up next morning. I definitely had a fever, got some aspirin, and presented. And by the time, and actually, I went until I was done with my consultation. My client asked me to take me out to lunch, and I couldn't say no. But I was so miserable, and I was burning up, and I made it through it. I got myself to the airport, and the irony here is I was there early. I was there like 4 hours early. I slept the whole way through to be woken up by paramedics trying to take me to the hospital. I guess I had been delirious and delusional. I rejected it, and fortunately, these paramedics woke me up because my plane was boarding. Yeah, I had been sleeping for 4 hours. They woke me up literally right before they were going to shut the doors. I rejected medical help, and I got on the plane. I got back, and then 9 hours later, I was in the hospital, and my doctor was telling me about this neck fasc thing, and I didn't even know what it was. And so,
wow. No, I was going to ask, is that cut on your leg? Is that what may have caused it?
It was a lot of different things. It was all this stress, all this bad living. I think my immune system was down, and I think this cut, it was definitely, I have psoriasis, and so I think that played into it. But my wife also had strep throat that week, and so that could have played into it. That was the year also where they had the H1N1 virus, and I had just taken my flu shot 2 weeks earlier, never felt right from it. So I think it was just the perfect storm, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, that's very interesting. They had all those things happen at once. Actually, my case had been linked back to strep throat as well.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yes. There was strep in the area, and I had cut the back of my right hand on my garage wall, and had gotten in there.
So I spent 5 actually. So I went to the hospital, and 2 days later, they had been keeping track of the necrosis on my leg, and after 2 days, they said, we got to fly you out here. So they life flighted me to the Hershey Medical Center. And when I landed, there was a team of like 15, 20 people putting tubes in me and saying how critical this was. And it still hadn't hit me yet. I've always felt like I could recover. And I couldn't spell neck fasc on my BlackBerry. So I didn't even know what I was getting into. And so anyway, so they would say, they were rushing me into the emergency room, saying, we've got to amputate your leg. And it's a little tough for me to talk about, but it was something where it just happened so fast, and they kind of read me my last rites kind of thing, and then they put me out, and I woke up, and there was a whole team of medical professionals, clapping and whatsoever, but my leg was still there, and so but I spent the next 5 weeks in the hospital, and I had to recover from a lot of mental, physical things after, but I still had my leg, and I still had my life, and so that was obviously very important. So
yes, it's kind of funny you're talking about your leg. When I had my ordeal, they told my wife, the doctor told my wife, they were taking my right arm during my second surgery. It was not a question. And
Yep.
so it was through the saving grace of an occupational therapist who was in attendance that saw that I still had hand function, that they actually took a flap of skin from my left thigh and placed it on my right hand and forearm. And so I call this my fan because it's my thigh on my hand. And so it's kind of crazy that you also had that situation where they thought they were going to have to take a limb and they didn't.
Yeah, it was a situation where they were definitely going to amputate, because they told me that before they knocked me out. It was fortunate that they said that after we removed all the surface tissue that they felt like it hadn't hit the muscles, or it was actually following the vein that returns back to my body. So they returned. So they took out that vein, and it did not. And basically they felt like that was the transmission, kind of, because they were marking it. It was moving like inches, like every few hours. And they said once we removed the surface tissue, we felt like you could recover pretty easily. But the kind of gross part is that they wrapped me up in saran wrap and they didn't stitch me up till 3 or 4 weeks later. And so I had to constantly look at this, and it was just bizarre. And I had a lot of mental issues to deal with over a few years, but have recovered from that. My scarf goes from my ankle all the way up to my groin and then across. So it's the equivalent of probably about 70, 80, maybe 90 stitches, but it was, it's a pretty nasty one. But, I probably spent a good, I couldn't walk for about 3 or 4 months, I believe. And then the physical recovery took me about a year or two. The mental recovery took me at least a few years. But constantly washing my hands, kind of stuff, and being a little bit of germaphobe, not eating sushi, kind of things. But it was, and then just PTSD kind of stuff about what's going on, and can you catch us again? But that's kind of some of the stuff I went through.
Oh wow! Did you ever consult a therapist for your mental trauma?
No, I probably should have, though. It was something where I had to. And that's where the biking stuff came in, and that's where we kind of see, I follow your running and you follow my biking, and I think that after 2 or 3 years of being sedate, it's just not being active and mentally spinning a lot of stuff through my head, I just said, I got to take control of this stuff. I probably should have seen a therapist at some point, but I decided that my weight had ballooned. My weight currently is about like 195-ish. But I had ballooned up to like 230 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
so I said to myself, I got to get control of this stuff. And I started biking, and I always enjoyed it as a kid. And I run now, but I never really enjoyed running. So I started biking more and more. And then probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I did like a 40-mile ride. Actually, I did a 20-mile ride. And I said, okay, let's do 40 now. And I did an organized ride 40. Now this year I did 152 in a day. And so that's my longest ever. So biking has been good for me physically, but it's also been good for me mentally, because, it kind of feels like you're in the wind, basically. So,
there's such a feeling of freedom when you're able to propel yourself in that motion after suffering such a potentially traumatic loss, of say your leg or my arm. And I bike some as well to supplement my running, but I definitely feel that the wind in your face, and it just feels like you can do no wrong and you can go on forever. And so that 152-mile ride, was that part of something, or was that all inclusive?
No, actually, my friend and I decided that we were going to do something kind of, this whole COVID thing was kind of getting to us. It's like, and I was last year, I actually had done, I had run 10 5Ks and 1 10K, and I'm not a runner, but that was a goal for me. This year with COVID and the pandemic, I said, I need to reset my goals here. I need to do something big and crazy. Otherwise, I'm not going to exercise.
Yeah.
And so, I did do a ride with friends across Ohio, which was a lot of fun. And then I had a friend that said, hey, let's try to do the Great Allegheny Passage in a day. And I said, that's usually a 2-day ride, sometimes a 3-day ride. So let's try to do it in a day. And so my friend and I, we got up at 5:45 in the morning, and we rode till 9:45 at night. And it was mentally, physically hard, but it was great, and we enjoyed it. But I think for me, post neck fash, I became a different person, and I needed to change things. I needed to keep my health up. So biking has been a real good thing for me mentally and physically. It's helped me keep my weight off, but it's also helped me to kind of heal mentally. But I think I became a better person. At least I've been told. And my daughter says it's is it post neck fash, Jim, or pre neck fash, Jim? Because pre neck fash, Jim used to scare me every so often, and so I think I became a better friend to my friends, and a better father, and a better husband, and my priorities have changed. I don't need to work 80 hours a week. I don't. It's just I can relax about my goals in my life. So
yeah, it does definitely give you perspective.
Yeah.
On a lot of different things. What kind of bike do you use?
It's kind of funny. I started off with these cheapo kind of Walmart bikes when I first got it started, just to see what it was like. And then I decided, I planned my first big trip with my friends, and we went from Pittsburgh to DC, and that was 6 years ago. And I said, I got to get a better bike. And so I bought myself a kind of hybrid / gravel bike. And it's an English bike. It's called a Genesis Tour de Fur. It's not like a Trek or a Cannondale or a Giant. It's a little bit different, but it works for me. It's like a Harry Potter thing. The bike chooses you. And so I got this bike, and I've also done this ride called Ragbri. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Yep, I've heard of that.
So I did Ragbri about 7 years ago, and I bought myself a Motobecon. Nobody rides a Motobecon anymore. Yep. But again, the bike chose me, and so I have a road bike there, and I have a gravel bike for the trails. And my friends and I, we get together a few times a year, and we do 4, 5, 6, 7 day rides where we try to cross the entire state, and we go to the microbreweries all along the way, and we get to learn the local history and the local culture.
Oh, that's awesome. So what is your favorite kind of beer? I am I don't want to say a connoisseur, but I am an enjoyer of the beverage. And I live actually in a town that contains the second oldest family-owned brewery in the United States.
What brewery is that?
Shell's Brewery.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And
my favorite beers are basically from the Magic Hat Brewing Company. Magic Hat number 9 is probably my favorite. It's my go-to beer. And only because my wife and I lived in Vermont, and I used to work right across the street from the brewery, and something about the apricot beer not being overly powering is what I prefer. And I'm more of a like an ale guy, and not so much an IPA guy. I don't like super hoppy beers, but I was just at the Alchemist, and I got myself some Heady Topper, which is the most hoppiest of beers and most sought after beer. And so I pretty much drink it all. And another reason why I ride is mental, physical, but I can get off my diet, and I can eat as much as I want, and I can drink as much as I want, because your body just consumes it. When I did my 152-mile ride this year, I looked at my Fitbit, and it said that I burned 8,000 calories that day.
Wow.
And so I can eat anything I want. So
a hall pass.
Yeah, you get a hall pass.
Yeah. No, actually, I enjoy hoppy. I enjoy the IPAs, and so I never really used to. But a couple years ago, I started turning towards them. I did learn, though, you do not drink an IPA while doing a beer mile.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of tough to choke down when you've got some running to do afterwards. So so you're an ale guy, okay?
Yeah, but I do like my IPAs. It's just like it just comes down to is it a super strong, overly hoppy beer, and if it is, it's got to be a mood beer. I got to be in the right mood, and it's got to be cold. Yeah. If it's somebody that's I try IPAs all the time, but if it's somebody that's kind of like, okay, new microbrewery, and they just got to do a double IPA, and it tastes medicinal, then it'll fail the test for me.
So you're looking for the doctor's signature on it, right? It's like
yeah.
What is this going to cure?
Yeah. So anyway, I think these are all, this whole neck fascia recovery thing, and the outlook I have on life is very much different. It actually brought back my love of biking and cycling, and breweries kind of tie into that, and being a foodie ties into that as well. And I'm sorry I didn't get out to your wonderful state of Wisconsin there. We were trying to set up a ride so we can get, we would start off in Madison, go to Milwaukee and drop down to Chicago, but COVID kind of killed that one. So
Well, you have definitely missed me because I'm actually in Minnesota.
I'm sorry, Minnesota.
Yeah, but I'm not born in Minnesota, so I don't take offense. I'm originally from Michigan.
Okay.
So actually my response to you saying you rode through Ohio was, I hope you spend as few times on your feet as much as in Ohio, because my school has a certain rivalry
Yes,
with another school that we won't talk about right now because it's not my interview. But no, you have to check out some routes in Minnesota.
We actually have looked at some routes, because Minnesota's got one of the best bike systems in the northern part of the state, and actually 4 trails form a triangle up there.
Yep.
And
the Paul Bunyan Trail is one of those, I believe.
Yeah. And so my friends we're all looking at that, so we want to get up there at some point.
Let me know. I would love to, if you're willing to have me. I guess I am inviting myself, but if it works out, great. If not, no worries. You guys will probably blow past me, and you'll be on your 3rd beer by the time I roll in.
No, actually, we will definitely keep that in mind, because because you're a runner. A lot of my biking friends are runners and bikers as well, and you like beer, and anytime we can get a local in to go along with us, that's always great. So I will remember you once we think about Minnesota.
Yeah, definitely. Please do. Because I actually, this past summer, my family went up to Brainerd, which is in northern Minnesota, and I ran a few miles on the Paul Bunyan Trail. Beautiful trail. I think you guys would really enjoy it. And then there's another. I also ran Ragnar last year, not Ragbri, but Ragnar, which is the long distance running relay race that starts in St. Paul and ends in Duluth. Cool. And a lot of that, I think, is on that trail. If not, there's another really nice trail that's being used. That might be it. But yeah, there's some beautiful trails up there that you guys would definitely enjoy.
Very cool here. And I get to Minnesota quite a bit for business. I was actually supposed to be up there for Minneapolis for a wedding. So I'm very familiar with Minnesota, and it's a great state. So yeah. So is there anything I can any question that you have for me where I could help somebody else with neck fascia, or anything of any wild question that you might have?
I think that it's very important to know how to find that mental release. And so I think you did a very good job of, talking about the running and the biking more so. What part did your family play in your transformation post NF or neck fascia?
I think probably my wife was probably the most obviously supportive, and I think our relationship got much better as a result. We kind of realized how much we liked each other, and so I think that was really important. She was always there for. I saw a new side of her that, rather than being like a roommate kind of person here, I saw a deeper connection with her, which I thought was neat here. My kids, now that we've kind of gone through, actually, it's kind of funny. We protected our kids from my illness while I was in the hospital. They knew that I was sick. They didn't really realize the magnitude of it. Now they kind of laugh at it. They kind of like saying, they kind of do the before and after thing, and they kind of make fun of, that my little bit of germophobia and things like that. But anyway, I think probably my wife kind of played a lot to it. And my son, we had just adopted him just a few years earlier, maybe like a year or two earlier. Let me see, he's 15, so actually about 2 years earlier. And so he was somebody that was always running around the house when I was in my hospital bed down in the dining room because I couldn't do any stairs, and he was always taking his nap with me, and
Sweet.
I had to play video games with them because I couldn't move and stuff, and so that was kind of neat there too as well. So, my family's been great. My faith got better, and a lot of things, and then the group that we belong to in terms of the national association there is they've been a good family as well, and so it's became a better person, a more connected person all the way through, and not a, it's all about me kind of person.
Yeah, it definitely, like I said before, it definitely changes your perspective, but also it helps you align more with your true ideals.
Yeah.
And so, while people, and it is a curse, but it also offers its blessings. And so I'm so very thrilled that you were able to find those blessings.
Yeah, definitely. So let me ask you a question, Chris.
Yes.
So are you the same person after your recovery or before? Because I feel like I am about 80-90% changed. I mean, I still have got a lot of the same work ethics and stuff like that. I just manage them differently, but I feel like I'm a very different person there. My patience is better, even though I'm still an impatient person. My anger level is well down. I'm more, I kind of told my daughter and I kind of laugh at it. I'm like more chill now or whatever.
Yep.
But for you, do you think you're the same person? Or are you a different person?
Oh, good question. When I think about who I was before 2015, which is when it happened to me, I think more or less I am the same in terms of my personality and in terms of my a lot of my views. I do feel that I am more cognizant of my temperament, though, because I want to use this second chance and make it as much of it as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And since I decided to become a public speaker, I find that I really want to be the best person I can be. And so I think that has changed me a little more, but I also am much more cognizant of my gratitude, because I think that's the main thing that really helped me recover, was finding that not only appreciation for the big things, but also the very small things that someone might overlook, like the sun not shining in my eyes while I'm lying in my hospital bed.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to, that way I don't have to call a nurse in to, close the shades or anything. Yeah. And so taking appreciation of that stuff has really increased for me. Not that I was ungrateful to begin with, but it just has increased, I would say at least triple or double or tripled at least.
Yeah, isn't that amazing that when you're sitting in a hospital bed, how small the world gets? Yeah, because I kind of had the same thing. It's okay, a light hitting me in the side of the face, and I can't do anything about it. Okay, I could really use some water here, but I can't reach it, and I dropped something, and you can't pick it up. But it was kind of funny about how small the world becomes there. So.
Yes, yeah, indeed, and I think also going back to the running and the biking, there's also a sense of independence, because when you're in that bed, you are a baby. You are dependent on everyone. Mm-hmm. If it's not within arm's reach of you. And so I think that that definitely plays in, that running and that whatever you can do on your own really does play into your psyche when you recover.
So I got to ask you one more question here. You look like you're a serious runner here. What's how many minutes per mile do you run? I've always wanted to know that.
Well, usually I try to do more, my 80% of my runs are easy runs. Yeah. And so that's from maybe 7.5 to an 8.5 minute mile. Around 9 or 10 minute miles on trails. But my recent 5K, I did in just under 20 minutes.
Cool.
And,
you look like you that way.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. And I've been working on it. My hamstrings are really tight, and my ultimate goal right now is to qualify for Boston. And I'm not historically a good marathon runner.
Yeah.
I do. I'm a much better halfer.
Okay.
Than a full, and so I got to work on that.
Two of my best friends have run Boston, and they live outside of Boston. So if you ever need anything, and I'm actually grew up south of Boston. I have a lot of friends and family there. If you need anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I will definitely keep that in mind.
Yeah, they actually my two best friends there that in the area. They've run Boston a few times, and they've run New York. One of them's run New York a few times, but they both belong to a running club, and if you need a place to hang out or a post-game beer, they'd love to have you, I'm sure.
Oh, I definitely will keep that in mind. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So going forward, what do you have in your sights? Any new goals or any new prospects?
Well, I'll tell you that one of the things I think about here is I always wanted to. I told myself I was going to retire when I was 55, and this was like 20 years ago. I'm 55 now, but I'm not really ready for retirement. I told myself, 20 years ago that I was going to have a doctorate, and I don't have my doctorate. I got a few master's degrees here and there, but that's okay. Those are not important things in my life anymore. I feel very, very well accomplished in terms of my goals and my outlook on things, and that stuff doesn't drive me anymore. My thing here is, and I have very little fear of death right now, having gone through that. It's like, I've kind of accepted, things happen in a certain way. So moving forward here, it's just, I want to bike more. I want to enjoy life more. I want to spend more time with my kids. It's all kind of sounds a little cliche, but I literally spent 20 or 30 years of my life thinking about me, thinking of how successful I want to be, thinking about how much money I could make, how many, I can own companies and whatever, and buy properties and whatever. I didn't, that stuff's not important to me. I feel like the reason why I bike now, in addition to all these other things, is that there's so much of America I haven't seen. I do have one goal, and my wife doesn't like this goal, is that I do want to bike across the U.S.
Okay.
And I want to bike across it from Portland, Oregon to either DC or Portland, Oregon to Portland, Maine. And I'm also thinking about, Key West up to Portland, Maine as well. I think those are some things I'm thinking about. But a lot of the reasons why I bike in these new places is because, I haven't seen the history of America. I've been so busy getting on an airplane and even in a car driving past places that all of a sudden you realize, wow, let me go stop off of that cool looking hotel. Wow, they filmed The Shining there. That was kind of, I didn't realize that, it's kind of you stumble into places.
Yeah.
And then I ran into, I went through the cemetery on this ride, and I stopped, and then my friend and I realized that was the birthplace of one of the spies of the Confederacy, and there was a book that was made about her. And then I just read a book about a slave that smuggled that stole a boat, and then he escaped out of the Confederacy. And so all of a sudden I gotta, now I want to get down to Charleston, and this because I want to see what Charleston's like. But the connection to America and that's why I loved Iowa, is because stopping along the different places and meeting the locals and having a beer with them and going to different breweries and seeing the history of America is just really kind of neat. And I did that with Denver. I went down to Albuquerque and learned about went to the International Balloon Festival. And there's so many things I want to see that you can't do it on the car. You definitely can't do it on a plane. And that's why I choose the bike as the way to do it.
That sounds like a great plan. And you're going to definitely have to keep me in the loop in terms of not only your Minnesota trip, but your other escapades, because, I have some other goals as well, but, it sounds like living vicariously through you would be enough. Jim.
Well, I got to invite you onto my my biking club on Facebook. We're already Facebook friends, but I have this thing called Fong's Firkin Riders. And once a year, I do what I call a potluck ride. Anybody can come. You just got to be, you just got to make sure you're physically, mentally ready to go, or at least close to being physically, mentally ready to go, and then fight through it. And every year, it's just a potluck of guys, and we may go co-ed in a year or two. Yep. But I do all the logistics. I set up, I ask people where they want to go, and then we choose a place, and then I set up the logistics about hotels and places to go and eat along the way. This past year, we went Cleveland to Cincinnati, and we've done Pittsburgh to DC a few times, and then we've done Ragbri a few times. But I'll put you on that list, and it's an open invite to anybody that's on that list to join up.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate you thinking of me.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun because the first year I did this, we had 5 guys and myself, and none of the 5 guys knew each other. They only knew me, and so we all got together. And these 5 guys are all good friends now, and we actually, a lot of us ride together still, and they all kind of keep in contact. And then the last time we did Ragbri, we had 11 guys, and there were basically 3 different groups of people, and these 3 groups didn't know each other. Some were my high school friends, some were my state college friends, and then others were just kind of random guys that I met along the way. And so it's a fun thing just to get to know each other, and then to work through a physically challenging ride along some part of America.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yep.
Cool. Well, so Jim, if you were asked by someone for some advice about how to work through a tough situation like you and I faced, what's 1 or 2 sentences that you would tell them?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think ultimately, my faith helped me, because my body kind of connected with, my mind and my faith. And I saw things that during the healing process that, could not be explained, I think, from a physical, kind of human science perspective, that there had to be another kind of spiritual realm here. And I think that helped me out through this, that there is a God in this. And I felt like that connection happened. And then I watched the strength of the human body and there might be kind of a connection there as well. But, I watched my body heal. And then I realized that, what you put into your body and what comes out of your body in terms of performance and healing are related. I never made that mental, physical, input, output kind of connection here. But, as a runner, you've got to do that. And I think while I'm healing, and then on the biking side of things, that is also true there. You cannot ride 152 miles without putting good stuff in your body and fueling your body along the way. I look at the recovery process being a lot of the same way, but there's also a spiritual, mental element that ties into this that I think can help along the way as well. Not so much on the biking side, but when I was healing, I kind of felt like, okay, there's a God here, there's a spiritual thing, there's a spiritual kind of force here that's helping me accentuate healing, and that helped, and it helped calm me.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for the answer. Now I have one more question for you, and my audience loves to learn the answer to this question. What is your favorite dinosaur?
I kind of say the pterodactyl for some reason here. People do the T-Rex thing or the, or whatever, and I look at a pterodactyl because it's wings, it's flying, and it's something that just collides, and it's a little different for me, and I kind of feel like, I've always felt my wife feels a connection to the ocean. I feel a connection to the wind for some reason here, and I know you're a guy that's into fantasy and fiction here. It's kind of like an Avatar thing where, there's earth, wind, fire kind of stuff, and it's also part of the Asian culture here. But I kind of feel more about wind than I do of any of the other, forces of nature. So the pterodactyl for me, and how ominous it can be, but how graceful it can be as it flies. So.
Yeah. So in Harry Potter parlance, the pterodactyl is your Patronus.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, Jim, I greatly appreciate your time. I am so excited to have finally met you in person, virtually in
Yeah.
person. Thank you so much for your time and your stories, and I look forward to meeting up with you guys sometime on a bike
Yeah.
ride.
I look forward to it, and we will meet in person at some point. We will definitely
Yeah,
get together. So, and I look forward to that day.
definitely. Well, Jim, you have a great day. We'll talk with you later.
Thanks a lot. Okay.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Jim, not John, Jim. If you want to reach out to him, you can find him on Facebook and Twitter. And I really wanted to draw attention to my outfit. I know usually I have a polo or a button down shirt, but we're going to peek behind the curtain a little bit here. I'm recording this on Friday afternoon. And as you may know, I'm an online school teacher. I have all of my kids home also. And so it's been a long week. So I apologize if my intro and outro look less than professional. I hope you can forgive me. All right. If you want to see what I'm up to, not only in the podcast realm, but speaking realm and other places, you can go to linktr.ee/chrisdtgordon. You can check out my podcast, obviously, and also my YouTube channel, my Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, my speaking websites, and a couple other surprises. So, and also please remember to subscribe to all my channels, like and review, share them with people. I want to get the word out about the attitude of gratitude and try to help as many people as I can. All right. Thanks a lot for joining me. Please have a great day and remember to pass on perfection and go for greatness.